Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I got my bell mug. I am obsessed with this mug. Obsessed with this mug and obsessed with Almond Joy Creamer. Oh, my hair. We are doing a big hair change really soon. I know I do it all the time and then I always end up going back to the red, but I'm like super sick of it right now. So we're going to do, we're going to take, ideally, I would like to take 4 or 5 inches off at the bottom of this. And I think I want to do something wild, like a wild color again. Boys, can you see them in the background wrestling? Heathens, I say, heathens. Also, don't look at my bookshelf right now. This one, my other one is really neat. My standalone one is really neat, but this one needs Jesus right now. I've got so much stuff on it. We're going to do a bookshelf organization soon. Because the reason I say soon is because I've got some things in the works. I got some new cool little bits and bobs on my trip to the UK that I want to display. I have a regalia of Scotland that was, it's in a snow globe, and it was the regalia that was worn by Robert the Bruce. It's so cool. I got to see it in person, like the real thing. But I got a mini snow globe with that regalia in it. You can only get that snow globe at the Edinburgh Castle. And then I got some of these little Irish cottages that I want to display. And then I've got to place an order to Dragon Steel Books for my copy of Yuri the Painter and Trust in the Emerald Sea. That needs to be placed, and then those are going to get displayed a special way. I just have so much stuff I'm working on for these bookshelves. I have my SJM books that I'm trying to get. I at least want paperbacks for all of the Throne of Glass series. So I'm working my way, like every week I go to Target and I get one. So I'm working my way to getting the whole Throne of Glass series in paperback. And then I don't know if I'm going to do all the rest of the SJM series in paperback. I own them all, just on different medias. I have I have all of ACOTAR and all of Crescent City on my Kindle. I don't know why Throne of Glass is just hit in a certain kind of way. I felt like this about a Throne of, or a Court of Thorns and Roses when I first read it, though. I can remember, I think I read it, I think I have a video here on it from when I first read A Court of Thorns and Roses. A Throne of Glass, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I cannot stop mixing those two things up. But anyways, I have a video on here from when I first read the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I absolutely loved it. And so I think I'm just in my Throne of Glass era. I'm in my powerful female era. And in Throne of Glass, there's a lot of powerful females. I have a favorite character, and I kind of want to do a cosplay for Halloween. But I don't know if my worm, aka Odin, hello, I don't know if he would participate, because the character that I really want to cosplay for Halloween as is a worm rider. Worms are like dragons, but they have different feet and wing situation. So just look up a WYRM if you're confused as to what I'm talking about. And she's a worm rider, and I really want to get some wings for Odin here, but I don't know if he would wear them or let me put them on him so that we could do a cosplay, because I just need really for my cosplay. And if I tell you what I need for it, you're probably already going to know who I want to do. But I need a platinum blonde wig and I need a big red cloak. My cloak is green, so that won't work. But I want a red cloak and a blonde wig. And then some little wings, some dragon wings for Mr. Odin to see if he would let me put them on him so that we could cosplay for this. But we will see. We will see. I have a feeling he's not going to go along with that. But anywho, I have just BS'd for like 10 minutes, I feel like. What are we here to talk about today? We're talking about rereading books that you liked at a different point in your life and maybe even told people to go out and read. And maybe you feel differently the second time you read it. So, last month I made a video where I talked about 5 books that do not get enough hype, right? And on that list, I put Ernest Cline's Armada, because I can remember reading it the week it came out back in 2016 or so. Yeah, it had to have been around the 2016, 2017 timeframe. I remember reading it and just devouring it and thinking it was top tier. And I was like, ooh, I haven't read anything like super sci-fi recently. I've been in my fantasy girl era. I haven't read anything sci-fi recently. Let me read Armada again, because I just told people to go read it. And it's still good. I still think it's a good book. But man, does it have a few problems, right? Like, I'm sorry, but there was some issues I had with this book that I didn't have the first time that I read it. And I don't know if that's just because I have read more fantasy and sci-fi than I had back then. Back then, I was pretty much a strictly historical fiction, historical romance reader. So Ernest Cline was like a new horizon for me when I first read it. And Ready Player One became one of my favorite books very quickly when I first read it. And I don't know if it's just because I wasn't super exposed to really good fantasy and sci-fi. But now that I have been exposed to really well-developed world building and really well-completed storylines, Armada is not quite as good as it originally was to me when I read it at 28, 29 years old, having just mostly read historical fiction and not a lot of sci-fi. That has led me to downloading a book by Andy Weir called Artemis that is Andy Weir is very high rated in sci-fi, in the same kind of realm and world that Armada takes place. So I am going to read this book and see in comparison if I still think Armada is a good read. Right now, I still think it's a good read. I don't think it's a great read. I thought it was a great read before I reread it. So your opinions can definitely change on books because of the place you are in life, the exposure that you have to that genre, a lot of different things. There's never anything wrong with saying, hey, I may have been wrong about this. Or not even that I was wrong about this, but having reread the book at a different point and stage in my life, I feel a little bit differently. Not to say it's not a good book. I still, even the second read through, even knowing what was going to happen, I still enjoyed this book. But it just wasn't wow, like I remember it being when I read it the first time. So I'm glad I reread it, because then I kind of got a better idea of, oh, maybe this is just a 4-star read and not a 5-star plus read. You know what I mean? So yeah. Do you ever do that with books? Love them the first time you reread them and then find out that they're problematic, or reread it and take something different from it, or just not enjoy it as much the second time around? I have books that I can reread a million times, like Outlander. You guys know that's one that I can reread every single year, and I love it every single time. I forget things every single time. I pick out new little tidbits every single time. And yeah, that is just one that I can reread every year. And do you have books like that are comfort reads for you? I want to say Warbreaker is probably one of those for me. I need to reread it. I read it in 2021. Don't quote me on that. Maybe 2022. Actually, I think it was 2022. Yeah, it had to have been 2022. And absolutely just thought it was one of the best pieces of whimsical fantasy I'd ever read. And I'm very excited to reread it eventually and see if it still holds its ground. But that is all I've got for today. Little long-winded on the just talking part, but I just really found it so fascinating that when you reread different books at different times in your life, how you can, like I said, feel differently. If that has ever happened, please comment and let me know, because I would love to know what book it was that you reread and felt differently about. I love you guys so, so much. The subscriber count has just been slowly growing and growing and growing, and I love it. I'm so excited. There's like almost 220 of you guys now, and I truly appreciate every last one of you. So cheers to coffee and more, and just so much more fun and content to come. Love you all. Bye.